Hello, my wonderful ACA class. I have made this little video as an overview because this week we are meeting online instead of face-to-face. This is for session 14. So the first thing you're going to need to do is obviously log into Moodle. Ta-da! And go down to session 14 on stress management. Note that everything you're going to be doing for this session, its deadline is Sunday, December 11th, no later than 11:59 p.m. Okay, so just how this session is going to work, I'll point out that there's something called the session 14 attendance checklist, and this is how you'll get credit for attendance. This isn't anything you do. This checklist just tracks everything that you've done. So in other words, you're not checking things off. It will check things off for you. But just to show you what it looks like, and I've done a few things in here. Here are all the items that I'm going to complete, and here's the bar, and you can see how close, and obviously you want to get to 100%. But I will note that the journal requires me to input something, so you won't get full check off of that. So don't stress over that one if you've done it. And the new semester schedule you have to submit if you haven't done that already. So if you've already done that, then that's another item that might not get checked off. Unless you just want to send me a document that says I've done it, and it will think you've done it. All right, but this is what the attendance checklist is all about and what I'll be looking at. All right, the next thing that you'll do is the session overview and resources, or that's actually where you do start. These are items that you will click on, you'll read, you'll review, take notes, make notes of things that mean something to you out of 20 scientifically backed ways to de-stress, what's some that are going to work for you. Same with stress management for students, and then there's also videos. You will watch the videos, take notes as well. So you'll have to do all three of these, and then you will begin your activities. So under session activities, session activity 1 is something called the responsibility model. So you click on that, and that document's going to open up. What I'm going to recommend you do is actually just go ahead and print it so that you can read it and understand it, because you will have to do more with it. But when something happens to you, you make a choice, and really can fall into two categories. Are you a victim? Do you blame, complain, excuse, or are you a creator? You recognize the problem, but you come up with a solution and have that positive outlook. And so go ahead and read this as well, and so you are familiar with the responsibility model. The second activity is the language of responsibility. How we say things, how we look at things can really impact what happens, taking ownership. So under the language of responsibility, when you select that, you're going to see there are a few things here. One, there's a description of the assignment, and then you're going to complete the language of responsibility activity, so you'll click on that. Then after you complete it, you'd come back here and you'd add submission, and you'd actually upload the document there. So a couple things I need to note about this. When you open up the language of responsibility, you're going to be expected to type in this document, but arg, I can't type because it's on view only. So the first thing you're going to need to do is make a copy. And you go down to File, and you select Make a Copy, and I want you to rename it with your name. Instead of it saying copy of OL, you'll put your name. I'm going to put Cooper, and it'll say Cooper, the language of responsibility. And you hit OK. If you have a class folder, you can put it there, but I'm just going to put it under my drive. All right, the next thing now you'll see is I can type. Right? Great. So what you're going to do is you're going to fill in the rest of the blank spaces on this document. So, and this is based on that creator-victim language. So a victim tends to blame, complain, or excuse. So this first sample here, I'm terrible in this subject. Versus a creator who can recognize an issue and then come up with a solution. I find this course challenging, so I'll start a study group and ask more questions. So on the left, you're going to see some victim language, and you have to rewrite it in the voice and language of a creator. Then as you do that, it's automatically saved into Google Drive, and you will then go ahead and submit it. There's a couple ways you can submit here. You could always just take your file from Drive and drop it in here. If you click on here, you can go to File Picker and go to Google Drive. It will work. Don't worry about the message I'm getting there. I tried it earlier and it worked just great. So you will submit or upload your assignment here, and that's what's going on there. So after you've done that, let me go back one more. Alright, so you've done the responsibility model, you've done the language of responsibility, and the last thing is the stress management journal, and you'll select that. And then read the directions, because it's a journal entry. It says to copy and paste the following questions into your journal entry. So that's one of the first things I'm going to do, copy, right? And then I'm going to start or edit my journal entry. And here it is, and you can see how then I can paste, and I can start answering questions. All right, and then I'll save that. Okay, so that's how that's going to work. When you've completed that, I'm just going back to the beginning. I'm using the back button. The last thing then, we've done our activities, is next semester schedule. You would just select that. You can take a picture, go to Web Advisor and do a screenshot, take a picture, whatever, and add submission and stick your submit your next semester schedule there. If you've already submitted it, you obviously don't need to do that. It will look uncompleted, but you can submit a blank document or just know that you've done that. All right, so that is in a nutshell how you would navigate this this class session, session 14. Complete the overview items and then the session activities, submit your next semester schedule, and do all of that before your deadline Sunday, December 11th. And I'll miss you, but have a great week.